Hello and welcome to another episode of the 1871 podcast with Johnny Hunt and me, Mark Roach. And we are going to chat about Saturday's win against Huddersfield. But first, we've got some really interesting news for Reading fans. We've discovered what appears to be the true reason for why the Rob Couhig deal to buy Reading FC fell through, which was just over a week ago. So I'll just get straight into it. Here's what we've been told by a reliable and trustworthy source. So we believe that it is true. So the club is up for sale. The asking price is around 30 million. Rob Couhig apparently offered 28 million. And that, to all intents and purposes, was accepted by Dai Young. So that's the reason why Rob Couhig was given exclusivity. And then the problem was not with Dai Young, it was actually with Rob Couhig, because he then firstly started loaning money to Reading, which all the Reading fans already know, which has since been paid back in full. And for a club that couldn't pay its bills, that seems a little bit strange. We're not quite sure. If you can't pay your bills, then how are you able to sort of pay that back so quickly? So we're not quite sure what happened there. And apparently Reading FC, according to a statement, now has enough money to survive, at least in the short term. So here's where the story starts to get quite interesting. So having agreed a deal to buy the club for 28 million, apparently, Rob Couhig then starts asking for discounts and putting performance targets in place. We don't know what those performance targets were, but it is likely to be something along the lines of extra payments if Reading get up to the Championship, possibly within a certain length of time. And then potentially also as and when the club wins promotion to the Premier League. So look, to cut a long story short, Dai Young started losing patience. That's what we think happened, according to what we've been told. Started losing patience with Rob Couhig, asking for these discounts. And then he came back, and here's the shocker for me. Now we're told that apparently he offered 8 million to buy the club, plus performance-based add-ons that frankly started to get a bit unreasonable. So Dai Young told Rob Couhig where to go. So look, let's put it in context. Rob Couhig thinks Reading Football Club is basically worth the same amount that Reading got for the sell-on fee for Michael Elise. So Johnny, give me your thoughts on that, because that's a bit of a shocker, to be honest.
Yeah, nothing surprises me anymore. Reading, to be honest. Look, makes sense if that's the case, and why it's been dragged out and then not happened. It's just another bizarre story in the life of Reading Football Club, isn't it? And you think something's being done, and then you're finding things like that out, and nothing's ever straightforward. Why can't we just be like a normal football club that has normal things like normal takeovers and normal life? But then we wouldn't support any other club doing that. It's just like Reading. We just
I
like
think,
make it interesting.
no, I think you're right though. It's actually, it seems like a fairly common thing with other clubs that have gone through this process that we're going through. So look, I want to add some more context here. If you put it in terms of what people like you and I can relate to, let's say you're selling a car for £3,000. So I think it's a bit like this. So someone sees the car and says, yeah, I'd like to buy the car from you. I'm going to offer you £2,800. And you say, all right, well, let's meet in the middle, 2,900. And he says, actually, I can only afford to give you 2,800. So you agree on 2,800. So done deal. Okay. And then the buyer starts to ask you, oh, can you give me a discount? And what I'll do, I'll give you £800 now. But I'll give you another £2,000 if the car doesn't break down or need any repairs in the next 3 years. you're likely to say, no, thanks, mate. Thanks very much for that. See you later. So that's basically what we've been told has happened with Rob Couhig and why the deal fell apart. You know, basically, Dai Young told him where to go because he was taking the mickey. So I think Johnny, this actually paints Dai Young in a slightly better light. And there are some positives for Reading Football Club. And what's come out of this, from what I've been told, is that actually it seems like he does want to sell the club. So that's a positive, isn't it? If that is the case.
If it's the case, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's that big if about all of things to do with Reading at the minute. If we hope so, and the club, is still an attractive option to buy for people. I know there's issues around who owns which bit and that bit and the other bit, and lots of things that I haven't got a clue about in my world of nursing. But it's a great area. We've still got a decent setup and a great academy. So if anyone's listening to this and wants to buy the club, please let us get in touch.
Yeah, get in touch.
Yeah, if you've got a spare 30 million, and Mark will offer you a car for £3,000 on top of that.
Well, Johnny and I are buying lottery tickets. We're buying the Euro Millions. The jackpot's over 100 million. So not sure if we'd fart. That's about right. Not sure if we'd pass the fit and proper owners test. That's another story. But yeah, I said to someone the other day, look, if I won 130 million on the Euro Millions, I'd put a bid in to buy Reading Football Club. And then what I'd do is I would make sure the club's on an even keel, and then I would sell it to someone else who knows what they're doing. So that's my plan. So wish me luck for winning the lottery. I'll keep some of the money for myself, by the way. Look, I think one positive actually to read into this is that Dai Young is saying, if what I've been told is true, and as I say, it's a trustworthy and reliable source. So I do believe that this sounds about right to me. This sounds logical. I'm not sure about that bit about Rob Couhig loaning money and then Reading paid it back. I'm not sure how that works. What
it did get paid back. It was paid.
Yeah, exactly. But how, for a club that's struggling for money, apparently, how you're able to do that's a bit strange for me. I'm not sure what's gone on there. But look, he's saying this is what the club's worth. You can buy it for, I want 30 million. I might accept 28 million.
And I want it now. I don't want it in
but don't
agree to time, 12 months time.
Don't agree to 28 million and then reduce it to 8 million on the basis that if we get in the Premier League or whatever the conditions were within X number of years. So look, Johnny, here's what I think. Look, as Reading fans, we actually, I think we go along with that. We think that, what you said there, we think our club has a value, huge potential. We've been in the Premier League fairly recently, relatively speaking. We've got a great stadium, a great academy, a great training facility. We're in a fantastic catchment area, not far from London. There's no other professional football clubs in close proximity to us, the only professional football club in Royal Berkshire. So someone can come in and buy the club, run it well, and help Reading FC reach its potential. And we know what that is. So John Madejski, he ran the club well. We got into the Premier League. We know we can do it. And you look at other clubs have done that. Recently, Luton Town, for example, historically, going back in time a bit further, Brentford, Brighton, look at what they've done. They're really, really well run clubs. But also you do need to be doing it for the right reason. Don't only do it as an investment opportunity. And the other thing I want to ask you about, Johnny, in terms of what happens now. So another positive, as I see it, is that we're not exactly back to square one. So a lot of the due diligence, the financial analysis and preparation for the deal has already been done. So in theory, what I think that means is that the next potential buyer, so whoever might get exclusivity next, can actually move a lot more quickly towards the agreeing the terms and conditions. So in that respect, all of those things I've just mentioned, I think it gives me a bit more hope and a bit more positivity, because it was a big slap in the face. He was parading round as if he was the new owner. And look, the other thing that I'm hearing is that he was really going to be focused on cost cutting. I don't necessarily think,
got anything left to cut, be honest.
we want to do things in the right way, but from what I've heard about his plan, he wanted to kind of do things on a bare minimum, and that's almost going the other way to the situation we've had with long contracts and spending huge money on players. So with all of that above, Johnny, and there's quite a lot to take in there, what are your thoughts about the rest of the season, the next few months ahead?
Hey, like you said, hopefully, I think what the process is around 3 months, wasn't it, for the last potential owner? So hopefully, if with all those things done already, hopefully, if there's somebody, there has to be people interested, because there's been people interested all through this process, that will buy for whatever, we all know what we think of Dai Young. He's a businessman. He wants this amount of money for it. Then he wants this amount of money for it. And if it's 30 million, I think it's still, for business people, that's not much to invest to buy a club like Reading. To be honest, it's good value, and like you say, the potential to increase that value, get the club sorted and and fixed, and that's the challenge. And if I'd hope if things were working well, and we'd have a new owner before the January transfer window. That would be the ideal. If they've come out and said we've got enough money to run the club for the foreseeable future, I'd hope that would be the next 3 months. Maybe it's some of the Michael Elise money. Who knows? Whatever it is, but that will keep it going. And then for January we'll have a new owner that would come in when the transfer window is in, that we can actually make transfers. We could start to look forward. Then this has just been another typical go round in circles moment for us. But it, like you say, if it's not him and there's issues with him, then hopefully there'll be someone waiting in the pipeline that does actually genuinely want to buy the club for what it's worth, do the deal, and let's move forward.
I think, Johnny, this might have been a blessing in disguise. Obviously, it was a shock to everyone. We thought we'd found our new owner. He was in the purple turtle wearing a Reading top. He was at games. I think he might have had some sort of influence on some of the decisions that were being made at the time. And that's one of the reasons why Ruben Sellers got angry and upset, because he'd spent time with him. But look, I think for me, what I understand is that Rob Couhig was given exclusivity out of a short list. So I think the other potential owners on the short list might be coming back to the table. I don't know that, but it's not as if we're starting from scratch trying to find someone that's interested. I think we might now be moving on to, okay, well, who's the next on the list? It's like when you're trying to choose a manager, you've got your first choice. The first choice might not be available or might not want the job. So then you go to your next choice. Maybe Ruben Sellers wasn't the first choice. So their first choice, Reading Football Club's first choice for the owner, was Rob Couhig. That hasn't worked out. I think one of the reasons we were so excited was because it was going to be a relief that Dai Young is not our owner. But be careful what you wish for, because
absolutely,
we don't really know much about Rob Couhig, apart from the fact that he did well at Wycombe Wanderers. But would he have been another Sir John Medeski? Jury's out on that one. We would have only found out afterwards, and maybe in 5 years from now, if he'd have come in as a new owner, we'd be doing Sell Before We Die again. Get rid of Rob Couhig. So we don't know.
Rob Before We Die. There you go, isn't it?
Rob Before We Die. Yeah. You've robbed us of our club, that stuff. So look, I think it was a big relief, and then there's, oh yeah, it's happening, and it's a big shock it's not happening. But we might have got away with one there. So
yeah, and I think all the public stuff didn't help. If it didn't happen and you didn't see all the public parading of, you know, at the ground and then telling it that the deal was going to be done in the next few days, you know, because Reading fans have been through hell this last, you know, and you're like grasping onto anything really at the minute for positivity. Not on the pitch, different story, but off the pitch, you know, with the ownership. And when you see someone who seems, and I spoke to him, and he seems, you know, a typical American businessman, you know, quite brash, quite ego, but he seems to have his heart in the right place. And you're kind of going, well, it sounds, and he's obviously, you know, you could see with Wickham that he's done things properly, and you're kind of in our heads going, yeah, he looks like he'd be someone that would do it better than it's done now. It's difficult. My 4-year-old could probably run it better, but there we go. But
well, look, you know, let's use it for context again. Let's use Rob Couhig, sorry, Ruben Sellers as an example. We were all speculating. I mean, we
did.
We did a list, didn't we? And he wasn't on our list, and it kind of came like from our point of view, it came out of the blue. You know, Ruben Sellers. So let's kind of hope that we don't hear much about a potential new owner, and then all of a sudden it gets announced. So
that'd be the best.
you know, so what happened with Mike Astley? Flew in with his helicopter. So there was a story about that, and then William Story, he went on Talk Sport to talk about it. Came across really badly.
Yeah.
You know, Rob Couhig. You know, why don't we hope that the next owner, when we start to hear about it, is when the announcement's made?
Yeah,
That
it's
would
not
be
about
great.
their ego. Yeah, I think, you know, it seems to be about them and their egos, as well as, you know,
Yeah,
I'm buying the club, but oh, look at me. And we just want someone that just goes, I just want to buy the club. A bit like Sir John, you know, I know he's a bit egos as well, but just like you say, buys the club and it's announced. And, you know, I don't think it helps the relationship between the current owner and him, Rob, going around telling everyone that he's bought the club, because I'm sure that would cheese off anyone if they haven't actually sold the club.
I'm going to reveal something else now. So I mentioned on a couple of previous episodes that I've been in touch. I contacted Rob Couhig to invite him as a guest on the 1871 podcast. It was his wife that came back to me. She said, look, he doesn't really check his social media, so I'm coming back to you. He said, so here's the wording. He said that he'll come back to you when the sale goes through. That was the exact wording. He'll come back to you when the sale goes through. So they were obviously, you know, based on that, I would assume they were confident it was going to happen. He certainly came across in that way. But I think with the, you know, with all the stuff that's gone in to preparing for the deal, putting everything in place, a lot of that work has been done. So, you know, your sort of hope of getting an owner in before Christmas, I think that could be quite a realistic aim. And then, as you say, we can, you know, I think Newcastle did that. The new owners came in December, didn't they? November, December, something like that. And then I think Bruno Guimaraes came in, Trippier in January that year, a couple of years ago now, whatever it was. So that would be good.
Announced on Christmas Day.
Was it announced on Christmas Day?
No, ours will be announced on Christmas Day.
Oh, well, that'd be good.
Royal speech, and Father Christmas unveils himself as our new owner.
Yeah. So, you know, and who knows, maybe if I buy the winning lottery ticket, it'd be me and you, Johnny.
Jeez, people want to see that on Christmas.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, look,
we'll see.
I feel, you know, I was a bit shocked to hear that the deal had collapsed. I was a bit shocked to hear this news. I believe it. It sounds logical. I think actually, in a way, it paints Dai Young in a slightly better light. It gives me, I don't know anything, but it kind of gives me a bit more hope, a bit more positivity that he does actually want to sell the club. That's a statement that the club put out as well. So yeah, it gives me a bit more hope that it will get done and hopefully quite quickly, because all that work has been put in. So we've got a package now.
Yeah.
This is the package that's on offer if you want to buy Reading Football Club. So hopefully at least one of those other potential buyers has now come back to the table. Hopefully they're talking to at least one of them. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a new owner in for the start of 2025. That'd be nice. So just briefly, Johnny, let's go back to you talked about on the pitch is actually going okay. Saturday got another win, and I think we just need to play the teams near the top of the table because we do well. Charlton, Huddersfield, but when we play teams at the bottom, Leyton Orient and Bolton, as they were at the time, it's not very good. So let's just hope we've got plenty of games coming up against the teams in the playoff zone at the moment. But yeah, what did you make of Saturday's win?
Oh, look, I think there was a good Sky did some coverage before. Spoke to AD Williams about the problems at Reading, which was good. A bit of exposure. The protest, people saying about going on the pitch, and it just wasn't an option. And the red card one, people mixed views on it, but it's being sensible. We have to keep the Sell Before We Die campaign out there and what's going on at the club, and I think that that's been done very well. And it's not to affect the team. That's the major thing. And yesterday was Huddersfield started off well, and they got that goal, and you're kind of thinking, oh, here we go again. Button made a great save, and then Spence was asleep for the follow up. But then we went down the other end with a bit of comedy defending from Huddersfield, and Nibs scored, and then you're kind of going, this could go either way. But Reading stepped up. Great finish from Ben Elliott, and we had a couple of runs. Button made another couple of good saves. So that I know he's had his critics, but give him his due for yesterday. But I just thought again, it's one of those games where everyone rolls their sleeves up. You're playing like Kelvin Abrifa playing left back, and it's not his natural position, but he worked his socks off for the team. I think they were saying, the defence yesterday were kind of average age of 20, like 19, 20, 21, 21, something ridiculous like that. And that's unreal for a group of young kids. And, we've only got really three classes, probably senior pros. There's kind of Lewis Wing, Sam Smith, maybe, and Harvey Nibs, maybe four that, are older, but they're still, not that old. We've just got to group the lads that really battle for each other. And, yet we're restricted with the size of the squad and, and they could, most of them are playing week in, week out now, which is the concern when we do get a lot of injuries that we cannot have the depth. But all we can do is just say, fair play again to Ruben and the team VSD for really grinding out a great result, against a team that, it's so bizarre this league. They beat Bolton 4-0. Bolton beat us 5-2. Then we beat Huddersfield. And that's the way that football goes. But I just thought, and the crowd were great behind the team. We really give them a lift, and they deserve the win. Huddersfield had possession and chances, but we were clinical, and that's what you want in that level.
And if I'm being completely honest, I didn't think it was a fantastic game. I thought at times, Red, and I'm talking about this from the Reading point of view. I don't know, maybe I'm being overly critical and unfair, but at times it seemed a little bit passive. But actually what I liked was for the two goals, yes, you talked about defensively from the Huddersfield point of view, it wasn't great. But Reading actually took advantage of that. So to get into that position, and it was a couple of good goals, wasn't it? Especially the first one, the equaliser. So you've got to kind of capitalize on that. It's one thing, the goalkeeper making a mistake or the defenders making a mistake, but you've got to capitalize on that. And Reading did, and they showed a bit of fight, come from behind. So there were a few positives there. And I agree with you, Johnny, that, we start, there's a benefit to sort of playing a settled team. And we've got that now kind of forced. But we grew stronger in the second half, I think, and I think the fitness is looking pretty good. So perhaps that's going to be a good factor for us. And I think, look, you take all of a sudden, it's going to happen. It's early season, but all of a sudden, we've gone from bottom half of the table. Now we're only a few points away from the playoffs, which is going to happen at this point of the season. So 10 points so far.
Yeah. I think most fans would have taken that at the start of the
Yeah,
season.
we beat Charlton, beat Huddersfield. That's I think overall it's been a good start to the season. Obviously the defeat against Leyton Orient in particular was really disappointing. Obviously, conceding 5 goals against Bolton, who weren't doing very well. But then we've beaten Charlton, good win against Wigan. We had to battle back against Huddersfield. So some positive signs there. And also, I think going back to that update that we've brought you, feels like some positive signs there as well. So yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's we've got to give off the field we can't control, but on the field we can certainly support and get behind the team. And you can't accuse any of those players not giving 100% in those games. They're really that high press that they played and the pressure that first goal was caused by Reading constantly hassling their defence into those mistakes. It wasn't just, and it was great to see that it was Reading doing that they were on the front foot even after going a goal down. They could have easily just sat back and well, for us, it's not going to happen. But they're going to have blips like the games that they've had where they've lost because of the size of the squad, and our away form is still not great. But they took a point at Birmingham, which looking now where Birmingham are top of the league, that's another positive result. We could have probably won. And we're not getting carried away into where they're going to be at the end of the season. I just think week by week, I think it's Burton on Tuesday. That would be a tough game. Again, we should win, you think, but again, you don't know, like playing like the top teams, like you say, we've done well. And we have to find a way against the side like Orient, maybe physically more intimidating and pressing. And, so we'll have to work, when we're playing the way we do, it works. We need to find another when our way isn't working as well. Do you know what I mean? That's
yeah, and I think, Johnny, that it was quite positive for me that Charlie Savage came on as a sub, Harley Dean came on as a sub.
yeah.
So it's not as if he wanted to bring on a sub and he's got someone from the academy. Charlie Savage is a senior player now. Harley Dean. So that was good to see them coming on
and the Candy as well. He's a good player.
Yeah, he looked good when he came on, and so he's giving other players a chance. I think he's using that squad, which is, I think we all agree is fairly lightweight and obviously a young squad. I think he's giving them a chance, and that's only going to benefit them in the long term. And I go back to your previous point there. I think it is about getting the ownership situation sorted out, and kind of, as long as we stay up in League One, and we're showing enough that we're capable of doing that, certainly. So as long as we're still in League One at least next season, get the ownership sorted out. I think that's the aim for this season.
Yeah, definitely. And then hopefully then we'll have that reset that we've talked about for the last 2-3 years. It might actually happen one summer. But you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to look at it as a positive because it's just great to see these group of lads fighting for the team. And they're put under so much pressure off the pitch. God knows what they've had to deal with. And waiting for wages, and Reuben himself. He's it's under the pressure that he's been under. But fair play to they represent our club so well, and you have to be proud of what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just finally, we are going to be at the events that we're holding at the Purple Turtle in November with Nicky Shorey, Adam Lafondra and Jem Karachan. We are, of course, going to be asking them about their time at Reading. In Nicky Shorey's case, that's the first one on Sunday, November the 10th. Asking him about playing for England, playing with players like Michael Owen, David Beckham, etc., Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard. First game at the new Wembley. So they're like, live events for the 1871 podcast. Really looking forward to those. But we are going to be asking them about what they think about the current situation at the club. They all play for Reading in the Premier League. Be really interesting to hear from them what they make of what's going on at the moment. So really looking forward to those live events. That's the Purple Turtle, November the 10th, 17th and 24th on Sunday afternoons. I'm going to give you the number if you want to send a WhatsApp message. So if you are interested in attending those events, that's Sunday, November the 10th, 17th and 24th with Nikki Shorey, Adam Lafondra and Jem Karachan. You can send a WhatsApp message to 07842 627 548. That's 07842 627 548. Send a WhatsApp message if you're interested in coming along to those events. So Johnny, thanks for your time. Great to get a win yesterday. Bit of a shocker when I found out what had been going on with Rob Couhig and why that deal collapsed. So I think now actually we've got a reason for why that happened, and I think that reason actually gives us a bit of hope and a bit of positivity. So onwards and
upwards.
Yeah. All right, Johnny. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for listening to us or watching us on YouTube, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.